No Chill Sports is an unapologetic, high-energy sports show where opinions fly fast and facts hit hard. The views and opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the hosts and guests, and do not necessarily reflect those of any affiliated networks, sponsors, or partners. Content may include passionate debates, bold predictions, and unfiltered takes that some viewers may find intense or controversial. Listener discretion is advised. If you're looking for chill, this ain't the place.
Hey, welcome to another hot episode of the Rant with Pough Ant. It's your boy Pough. I got my man Ant in the building. What's good with you, my boy?
What's happening with it, dog?
Hey, can't call it. But once again, welcome to the Rant with Pough Ant, where the mic stays hot, the takes are bold, and the truth is unfiltered. No scripts, just two voices bringing the heat with heart, real, raw, and unapologetically honest. And Ant, we got a special guest with us tonight. We're gonna bring up our man Julian, talk some baseball. Finally got the field of 64. People can stop panicking. We know who's seated where. It was some surprises in there. There was two preseason top 5 picks that didn't make the field. Got to find out who we felt like was snubbed too. But first, man, let's go ahead and shout out to our sponsors over at Dubby. Dubby is a powdered energy drink aimed at gamers and individuals seeking focus, energy. It's known for its clean ingredients, no jitters, and various flavors. Dubby is also available in a hydration formula for those needing electrolytes. Dubby achieves its smooth, effective focus with high-end tasting experience while using no sugars, fillers, artificial color, or dyes. Try Dubby today by scanning the QR code on screen or visit them on the web at bit.ly/no-chill-dubby. Dubby, your taste buds' favorite energy drink. Like I said, man, we got a special one in the building. It's like family, man. He the only person I know that don't have a show that we didn't had on here, probably more than people who got a show. But welcome to the Rant with Pough Ant. Our first guest from a live show, our man Julian. What's good with you, my boy?
What's good? What's going on, guys?
Hold up, because Ant, we do have it now. Hold on, we do have it now. Let's see if I can get it working. There we go. Yeah. All right, man. Julian, it's good to have you back. I know we talk all the time, talk baseball, talk about these crazy chat groups and stuff. Let's go ahead and jump into it, man. The road to Omaha, and I actually have it here. So let's bring it on screen. Up. That's the wrong one. But don't worry about it. There we go. The road to Omaha. Vanderbilt ended up with the number 1 overall seed. So you got Nashville regional. You got Texas hosting. You've got Southern Miss, UCLA, Florida State, Ole Miss, Oregon State, Georgia, North Carolina, LSU, Oregon, Clemson, Coastal Carolina, Tennessee, Auburn, and Arkansas. Uh, so, Julian, first to you, I'll go ahead and start with you. Any surprises in this field of 64?
I don't think surprises. One surprise like Arizona State, but they did have their series win earlier against a number 2 seed TCU. That's in the Corvallis region, and also they won an early game as well too. But I was surprised Arizona State got in because they were struggling. Oklahoma State swept them. They didn't really have a good showing in the against BYU in the Big 12 tournament. But I think that's what was kind of like wacky this year with the conference tournament. A lot of the top seeds or seeds that were supposed to be going on to the next round, they got bounced out right away in the single elimination. So you wonder how much did that play in the committee's eyes to see who got picked and whatnot. But Arizona State was a surprise to be in. I thought Troy would be in, or at least Virginia, even though I didn't think Virginia was going to make it at all. At all.
I think the Big 12 not having a host seed kind of played into the committee's eyes, throwing in Kansas State, Arizona State, and Oklahoma State as three of the last four in over teams like Southeastern Louisiana. You mentioned Troy and Virginia. So I wonder how much Big 12 not hosting a regional has to do with the fact that they got three of the last four in. But I'm kind of like you. I figured Troy would be in. I felt like they did enough over their season, had a high enough RPI to kind of justify them getting in. Who do you think was a surprise that they actually hosted a regional? Because I know some people were talking about some of the people who got to host the regional maybe got a benefit of the doubt from the committee.
I think the ones that are like surprising is Oregon State, but Oregon State, to be fair, they only played 19 home games. They're independent. They didn't have a conference this year. So they played whoever, basically, we're going to show up, whoever, whenever. So I think that played a part of the community eyes. But I think UCLA, but it's again, it goes, it's like they struggle at the end. They lost the conference championship to Nebraska 5-0. And a lot of people thought they would lose. But it's, again, are you gonna reward them because they didn't do it, or they did well throughout the whole season, which they were? But I also think too between Southern Miss and Coastal Carolina, whoever who won was gonna be a lock. I know there's a snub for Georgia Tech, the Big 12 with TCU, but to be fair, I think TCU was gonna host if they won the Big 12 championship. They were winning in the ninth, 1-0, but they left their pitcher in with 66 pitches, and he threw a breaking curveball and he hung it, and the game went to extras, and Arizona won the Big 12. Georgia Tech should have hosted, but their non-conference is what like hurt them the most. And at the same time, the ACC Seed Network was saying, how odd is it the number one team to win your division champs didn't play Florida State, which is the second seed, North Carolina, which was the third seed, and North Carolina State, which is the fourth seed. So that kind of played into it as well. They would have played one of those teams, I think they would have hosted.
Yeah, I was looking at the because Ant mentioned, and I actually want to talk about this. The last four in, first four out. Last four in: Arizona State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, USC. First four out: Southeastern Louisiana, Troy, UConn, and Virginia. Of the first four out, I really felt like UConn was the team that really got snubbed. They 40th ranked RPI. They had a 38-21 overall record, 17-4 in conference, and I'm trying to see what they lost there because I think they lost in the conference championship. Yeah, lost to Creighton 4-7. And then when you look at a team like who was it that got in? It was USC or Arizona State. Teams like that is like Ant said, it's like what metric was it that they were looking at the committee wise. I can understand Southeastern Louisiana not getting in. We talked about that last week on the Bayou recap. about them losing the way they did in their tournament was really going to hurt them, and I think it would have looked very biased if the way they lost, they would have gotten in, seeing that the chair is their athletic director. But I will also say that I don't think they were a bad team, and I don't think if they would have gotten in, a team would have, anybody would have looked at it like, I think this team should have been in over them. I don't know. That's one of the biggest stuff to me. Like I said, was UConn, Southeastern. I can understand. Troy and who was the other? Virginia were bubble teams pretty much the whole second half of the season. So no surprise there. Now looking at some of these regionals, I know we talked. It's funny, we talked about this, and one of the teams we talked about, hey, look out for, and if whatever region they go to, they're going to make some noise. Dallas Baptist, and they ended up in the Baton Rouge regional. But then I started looking at some of these other teams, and I feel as though you got to kind of wonder how they feel about hosting when you've got a team like, Coastal Carolina you're hosting, but you've got Florida in your bracket, and Florida has made it, if I'm not mistaken, they've made it to Omaha 9 of the last 14 seasons. You've got who has Duke in their
Georgia.
Athens, Georgia. They've got Duke in their bracket. It's like, what do you do? Florida State looks like it could be a cakewalk, I guess you could say, or a pretty fair bracket. But you've got a Northeastern team that's 27, straight wins. You've got a Bethune-Cookman who has stepped up in some big time games. They've won their last 6 and aren't scared of anybody. So it's who feels comfortable.
No, you're right. It's like who feels comfortable, but like you start off with Dallas Baptist. I was watching their games because that was obviously my team. Miami was on bubble watch too, even though they didn't even make it to the last 4 and they were in like regardless. But the strength of Dallas Baptist was pitching, and the last 2 games against Jacksonville State, their pitching is what let them down. They come in a high situation. The first pitch, a double down the line that extends the lead for Jacksonville State. And then their bats couldn't get going too. I know they had some guys hurt, but at the same time, his pitching is what let them down. Or if it was a close game or a tie back, they would give up the lead right away. So it's in one where you want to turn the page and go into your regional brand new. But I mean, you're right. There's no bracket where you could say, hey, maybe Texas, maybe that's the only one. Because if you look at Ole Miss, you have Georgia Tech, and you saw them when they showed them, they were pissed off. They thought they should have hosted. Then you have Duke and Georgia, who knows like they could pitch and hit as well too. Then in Oregon State, I think that's a tough one. You got St. Mary's, who came out, played 14 innings, lost, and then came back and then win the championship like 30 minutes after. You got TCU, who feels some type of way that they felt they should have been hosting. Now you're over there at Corvallis, and then you have the USC. I know they say they were the last 4 in, but they did. It's like they didn't finish well, but throughout the whole year they were doing well. They made a surprise in the Big Ten. Auburn, you have NC State that's been turning around, that could pitch and hit. Arkansas, I mean, you have a dangerous Kansas team and a Creighton team. So it's just the whole field is just dangerous. There's no one set team. Like even Oregon, when you have Arizona, Cal Poly, that came out of nowhere to a lot of people. But if you look at it, they had 45 wins. They won the Big West for the first time in a long time. North Carolina, you have Oklahoma, who made their first year in SEC was not bad. They did pretty well. Then you have the Cinderella, Nebraska, who's obviously hot right now. So I just feel it's anybody's tournament. I think too in baseball there wasn't a 1 through 8 where you know what, like this is a team where they could be number 1 for a week. Number one was changed like throughout the week, either 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then there was a new number one. I just felt that's how college baseball was this whole year.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot. And the parity in the sport right now, I think, is what makes this such an open field. But I think to Texas definitely or Vanderbilt or would be the two I think would you would say they have the least to worry about in their regional. Even though Louisville, ain't no slouch, but
And Louisville beat them in the midweek later or before the season.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, it definitely could go any way in those regionals, but I would think those are the two of the easier paths of all the regional hosts. Well, the DBU thing, like DBU is a traditional power at the mid major level, but I think this is one of their lesser teams that they've had over the course of their time in the last few years. I think they're still a good team and capable of coming out of that Baton Rouge regional, but compared to some of the teams we've seen from them in the past few years, I don't think this one is their best one. So it could be worse if you're in that Baton Rouge regional, compared to what DBU has been. But like the Arkansas regional, when you look at a Kansas team that's been hot most of the year,
Mhm.
like you said, Creighton team that's pretty good. That's one that I could definitely see Kansas coming in there and being able to pull off an upset. Then you go to Tennessee, they got Wake Forest in theirs. Clemson's got West Virginia in there. Like almost every regional has at least two teams that you could see coming out of that regional without it being a huge shock. So I think it's definitely going to be some competitive games in this regional. Which one you looking forward to watching the most?
Other than Miami, I think I want to see the Oregon State one because it's Oregon, TCU, USC, and St. Mary's. That one's going to be a good one, especially I think they're going to give a little bit the Pac-12 after dark. I think strange things could happen over there too. But I'm
Mhm.
also interested in that Georgia one because Georgia, like it's weird. We know Wes Johnson was the LSU pitching coach when they won the national
Right.
championship. So you
Mhm.
figured, okay, they're going to be stacked pitchingly, and then offensively, like they'll get it every now and then. But the past 2 years, it's just been we're gonna JUCO ball it, which is basically we're gonna outslug you, and if we have the pitching, we have the pitching. So I want to see that one against a Duke team who has been on a good shot recently, but let's see. I mean, we'll see.
Give me the Oxford Regional. Julian, you talked about it. Ole Miss has gotten hot late in the season. Um, they've actually been quietly one of a really good team in the SEC this year. And Bianco, it's funny because that man has been on the hot seat so long that he's just comfortable. Um, and now you bring in Georgia Tech, who's playing for a coach who has already announced this is his last season. So you didn't get the host. Why not? Why not go in there and cause hell? So it reminds me of Frank Martin's last season at or last like 2 seasons at Florida State.
Mm-hmm.
Florida State got hot and started to make some noise. Or the coach that was at Southern Miss uh, that retired like 2 years ago. So that one interests me.
And you know what's
Another
funny
one that
too
go ahead.
that Ole Miss fired their coaches because they weren't doing well. You lose your top pitcher Liam Doyle and Andrew Fisher that go to Tennessee, and you still win the SEC championship in Hoover. Like who'd have thought?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you another one that I like just simply because I just feel like it's going to be chaotic. Um, the Hattiesburg region
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a damn good.
yeah, Southern Miss, Alabama, Miami. I'm not going to count Columbia out. I don't think they'll do anything, but it's going to be interesting.
They'll give you
I,
a
I
tough
Definitely.
game.
feel I feel the same way about Coastal Carolina regional with Florida in there. Then you got
Yeah.
East Carolina, who's always a traditional power with Cliff Godwin over there, and then it was another one that the Clemson regional, West Virginia, who been hot. A lot of
Yeah.
Kentucky record. Like if you look at their record, you would say, "Oh, maybe they shouldn't be in." They don't have the best record, but if you watch them play, they capable of beating just about anybody. So I feel like that was gonna be sneaky good too.
Yeah. I was doing when I was doing the stats. So for those who don't know, I did we posted on the on our Twitter page. Actually, we posted on Twitter, I think, and Instagram and Facebook. Actually post on all the social media. There was a team. I gotta look and see who it's a mid-major, but they have two guys on their team that have 20 plus home runs, and the next guy has 18. And I was like, this is gonna be fun. I was like, whoever they play is gonna be fun because they can cause some hell, and I'm looking forward to it.
That UCLA regional with UC Irvine in it. I'm telling you, people gonna look at them and say that they're mid-major or whatever. Don't sleep on them, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if they get two of their top guys back. They've been missing in the Big West tournament.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to find it here. But yeah, it's like a team. They got like a guy who has like 23 and a guy who has 20, and then somebody has 18. But yeah, it's gonna be. I might go back and look it up and figure it out. Man, fine. I guess last thoughts. Who would be the biggest surprise to win one of these regionals?
I would say.
I mean, I was just gonna say, outside of the whole, smalls, like I'm not talking about like if Bethune-Cookman, saying shout out to Bethune. I'm not saying if Bethune-Cookman upset. I'm saying like somebody who we see, saying can possibly make a run.
I would say Mississippi State. Does history repeat itself? They go to Florida State with an intern head coach. The last time they did that, they beat Florida State. They made a run to Omaha. They knocked out Vandy in the super regionals with Jake Magnum and the boys. Just see if history repeats itself. And that they have it. Mississippi State has an interim coach. They were right down to dust, and they got hot at the end. Lost to a good, very Texas A&M team, but let's see if that or even two. I think the I think this whole weekend, like, it would not be surprised if a 2 seed wins, just because how good the field is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if obviously taking the Columbias and
Right.
those schools out of it, I think if you look at a UTSA or Kansas State, whoever comes out, anybody other than Texas coming out that regional might be a surprise to me. And then I would say Arizona coming out of that Eugene region might be a little bit, just because Oregon has been pretty damn good all year, and Arizona, like Julian was saying earlier, was kind of surprised that they even made it in. So that might be a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
Who you got in Omaha, Julian?
For me, it's still too soon to tell because I think there's be too many upsets.
I got
Yeah.
Like, this is the first year where I'm like, I don't know who will go on to Omaha, other because I would like to say LSU, but I know we all know LSU's problems is when they play outside of Alex Box Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Chris said he might go down the street and watch. He might go to the Southern Miss game in Hattiesburg. That actually would be. Oh, speaking of that, that's why I want to talk about too. Tickets. Have y'all seen this? tickets for the like Georgia regional was like $97, right? That sounds reasonable. I mean, I get it. Tickets for the Vanderbilt get in the door, $420 some dollars.
Jesus.
And somebody say, is Vandy back or is Georgia doing something wrong?
It could be
I
both.
think I think it's I think it's a Vandy. I'm not gonna say Vandy back, but I think it's a little bit of
Well, look at look who in those regionals though, right? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like if Vandy, you got Louisville, who's within driving distance, East Tennessee. You know what I mean? Like the demand is gonna drive up the price a little bit of that. Like how many Oklahoma State fans driving to Athens? You know
flying
what I mean?
period
Yeah.
or
So
going period. I get what you're saying. Yeah,
I feel like I'm not saying that's all of it. You know, I think that definitely influences it though.
that's logical, very logical. Yeah. So
But no, that's
what's
ridiculous.
good, Troy?
That's
So
crazy. $4 is wild.
yeah. Before we move off of the move off of this, y'all anything else before we move on about the field of
Yeah,
64?
I just seen a crazy stat that said um Oregon State and LSU looking to do something that's never been done before. There's never been a national champion be the number 6 or number 8 overall seed.
Ooh.
I just want to see how UCLA, what possibly could be their last home field. Because if you guys don't know about the situation, the U.S. government override USC or UCLA because it's part of their veterans, the land that they have. So
Mm.
they gave them like a temporary for this season where they could practice because they hold them out of practices too. So I wonder like how is Jackie Robinson Stadium going to end in
Mm.
victory or in a loss?
Man. Troy said Oklahoma State fans still use paper maps. They
That
got
was
MapQuest. They got MapQuest. MapQuest used to be the
I used to
thing.
hate that quiz, bro. I used to
You
have to go
close your
print
eye.
scripts and then
Yeah.
had to read it line by line.
Hey, you ever passed your exit and had to read and then have to try to read backwards? Hey, me and Rev went to DC. We flew to DC, but we had a rental car and we were driving, right? And we passed the exit. Hey, he said, read it backwards. And I took the whole thing, I turned the paper upside down. I was like, this ain't gonna work.
Damn boy.
Moving on, man. Changes to the college football playoffs already. If you haven't seen, the college football playoffs is looking to change from the seeding that they did previously. They're going to what's now called straight seeding, where instead of trying to put all the conference champions and giving them the buys, 1 through 4 or whatever will have the buy, and then so on and so on. And something you mentioned before, and I gave you much credit. I was on Carter Show, and I gave you a shout out on this. Just like NCAA, you get it, saying you got a ticket to the dance. That don't mean you get the host. So,
Bro.
Yeah, y'all thoughts on this? I think it's a good move.
I think they got it right, man. I think this it only makes sense, bro, that like in every other sport, winning your conference gives you an automatic bid, but it doesn't guarantee you the right to host or be a specific seed or whatever the case may be. That's determined based off other metrics. So I feel like that's what they do in football and use rankings or whatever you want to determine who should be, 1 through 12. But automatic bid shouldn't be automatic buy, in my opinion. And I think it's gonna make for better games because I think the first round is going to be a little more evenly matched
Parity.
up
Yeah.
because you don't have teams that are ranked third in the country, playing a team that's ranked 16th in the country or whatever the case may be. They're a little more closer in ranking, and then it's going to make for better second round matchups because the top four teams hadn't played yet. So you still get four of the best teams in the country in the second round.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think just because you win your conference doesn't mean that you should get a specific bye, unless if you are like Texas or how the first two were. I know Arizona State, I was rooting for them to win, and they did a good job. But I think that's the only good game that we had. Boise State, they made it a game for a while, but you saw how much they just struggled. I think if they would have played in the first round, I think it would have been equally a little bit more equally matched, but I think the games would have been a lot better. Like for example, we could have got like an Indiana and maybe SMU.
It would have been Indiana and Boise if they had
Indiana
the
boys.
yeah. So
That would have been a good game.
yeah.
They're both equally matched.
Yeah. So with that said, I actually, I forget somebody put up they had the graphic. I don't have it of what it would have looked like with the straight seeds. And to be honest with you, I think the only change as far as who made it to the end or who made it to the next round or whatever would have been Boise would have beat Indiana in the first round, in my opinion, and moved on. Everything else I think would have been par. I know some people feel like Oregon may have ended up playing Ohio State later on in the championship instead of Notre Dame. I still feel is my opinion. I think it still would have been Notre Dame and Ohio State in the championship.
Well, I mean, that's very possible, but if you Oregon and you the number one team in the country, you wouldn't have had to play arguably the most talented team in the country in the second round. You would have if you would have played Ohio State, it would have been in the championship game, not in the second round. So
Right.
it would have made it more fair, I guess, is the word you would use for Oregon, who earned the number one seed in the playoffs. So I don't know, like if it would have changed the eventual champion or the championship game, but it would at least made it a more fair bracket for everyone in the bracket. Because if you ask me, Oregon got screwed last year. Like the path they would have had, like that ain't the number one. That ain't the easiest path. Is like you would think the number one team should have.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that said, that's the only change as of right now. But another change has been proposed or been circulating as SEC talks have begun because they're doing their meetings in Destin, and it has been talked about a 5+11 model, meaning going to a 16-team playoff where you have five conference champions. So the four Power Four champions, and your Group of Five champion, or the highest ranked Group of Five champion, and then 11 at large bids. I don't think we should have went to 12 in the first place. I think we should have been at 8. So going to 16 is I think it's ridiculous. Get rid of week 0. If you're gonna do this, you got to get rid of week 0.
I mean, safety issues and scheduling aside, I think 16 is too many teams. I don't think there's 16 teams capable of winning a national championship every year.
We can find 12 this year, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm not naive enough to think that it ain't gonna happen though because of TV and money and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
But I think if you're gonna expand it, go to 14. That way you can still give 2 teams a bye and make the regular season mean something still. Have teams still playing and fighting for something in the regular season. Because if you go to the 5+11, all I gotta do is finish like top 3, top 4 of my conference, and I'm getting in. You know what I mean? Like, so do I really care if I win that last game of the year? If I'm already the second team, and if I'm number 2 in my conference, who cares if I win that next game? Like, I'm gonna get in the playoff either way. So I just feel like we devaluing the regular season by making it easier to get into the playoff.
Yeah.
I
Facts.
just I think it's just tough because it's like um, we go to 16, right? And then there's gonna be 3 teams that are gonna be upset, like, well, our case should have been better. We played a better conference schedule. Like, you're never gonna get satisfied, like, oh, we should have been in and that. 16, I
Facts.
think it should be like the cap limit, but I think it does make a difference in the scheduling because it's like, okay, if I get the top 3, that means I can't slip up the rest of the way. Because when we did 12, it was always what was always a common denominator. If you lose that week 1 game, it's like season's over already. So what's the point of trying? So now since we added the 12, you could lose that week 1 game and still have a chance to get in. So now you eliminates the more slip ups. Plus, because now also too, I know in the SEC, Greg Sankey said they want to do 9 conference games and 1 non-conference with the Big Ten. So now you're just adding yourself more up for more slip ups. So now if you don't do the 16, well, like how is that fair if I play 9 conference games and I beat up on each other all the time and we all have 4 or 5 losses and we're on the outside looking in?
Yeah.
If you go to 16 teams, if you're a conference that's top heavy, you've got, saying some teams that are, saying one undefeated team or 2, a couple 1 loss, maybe 1 or 2 loss, and you get so much money from TV revenue with every team that you get into the playoffs. What's to happen, or what's the point of even having conference championship anymore?
Well, see, this is
Because I mean because you'll get a first
I
round
get what
bye,
you're saying.
but
Well,
you
if
don't even
there's
get to host at
16
home.
teams, there's not a bye. There's no bye for that's why I said 16 teams. There's no bye. It's nothing. There's no incentive for nothing. What
Yeah.
I think is more likely to be the case, and Josh Pate said something similar to this the other day on his show. I think you're gonna see a 16-team playoff with SEC getting 4 automatic bids, the Big Ten getting 4 automatic bids, the Big 12 and the ACC getting 2 automatic bids,
A piece
or 1
or
automatic bid,
each.
or whatever. Or not,
Ooh.
yeah, 1 automatic bid a piece. You know what I'm saying? So then you're at 10, and then G5, and then you got 5 at large. That's what I think is gonna be the case. But and then when that's the case, I think if you the Big 12 and the ACC, you still have conference championship games to see who that number 1 team is that gets your automatic bid. But if you the SEC and you the Big 10, you
You don't
might
need
have
to.
a conference championship game for that 4th and 5th place team to see who gets the last guaranteed spot.
Mm.
I mean, you
Play-in
still
game.
something.
Basically a play-in game, yeah.
Exactly. You turn the conference championship to a playing game.
I don't like it, bro. I don't like
I mean, it's better than doing away with conference championship games.
it. Yeah. No, I like the idea of a playing game. I don't like the idea of going to 16. That's what I
I mean,
mean
you
by
might
that.
as well get ready for that, bro.
I know. I already know. All right. Man, let's go ahead and get ready to get up out of here.
We gotta talk about what Julian said next week, though. The SEC trying to go to 9 conference games, plus one
Yeah.
Power 4 conference game. So that gives you 10 games right there. You only got 2 more non-conference. They finna screw over the FCS and G5s by getting one less game for them from the SEC every year.
Yeah. Before we get out of here, man, NBA playoffs. 3-1. As a matter of fact, NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs, every series is at 3-1.
Yeah.
Okay, OKC finish it off tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, it's over. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
I would want to say yes, but I think NBA is going to try to drag it out one more time to get it to a game 6.
I think it's a wrap. If they drag anyone out, I think it'll be the New York series, but I think it's a wrap. I think it's a wrap. All right, man. Let's go ahead and get ready to get up out of here. Julian, man, I want to thank you for coming through, chopping it up, talking baseball with us. We may have to talk on Sunday when we know who's going to super regionals.
Well, it have to be Monday because there's some series that start Saturday.
That's
Sunday.
right. It is Monday.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It is. Oh, it can't be Monday then. It can't be Monday because we'll be in the middle of HBCU previews, season previews. But yeah, it's gonna be a good one. Looking forward to the series this weekend. And yeah, gentleman sweep. I agree. D-Lob. I will say this. I've been watching the WNBA a lot more. Kiki, I think Kiki she might go ahead and steal that Rookie of the Year.
It's early, man.
It is very early, but she been a dog.
Paige has been a dog.
Yeah, they ain't been winning. That's the only problem. So
it's early.
I know. Speaking of early, I celebrated a little bit too early. I was excited for Chicago. I thought they was gonna get their first win last night.
I tried.
Sad.
I'm gonna be quiet about that.
Sad.
It's not a good look too because you fired your old coach for a new coach.
Teresa would have been winning right now. I'm just saying. Anyway, where's there we go. Where's my theme music? We'll be back on Sunday. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Coming through like that. Yeah.